Today we're going to learn a little bit about pH in the substances around our homes. So what I've decided to use for my home is just some tap water, olive oil, milk, doesn't matter what kind, ginger ale, white vinegar, a mystery substance, and baking soda mixed with water. And you can use the baking soda from your kit if you don't have any at home. And from your kit, you're going to need your test tubes and test tube rack, mixing spoon if you want to mix up the baking soda, your filter paper, and your purple potato powder. Additionally, you're going to need scissors from home to cut your filter paper into strips. So to begin, what I needed to do was to create some litmus paper. And litmus paper is a testing tool to help us know if a substance is more acidic or alkaline. And we explain what this means in a later episode. But what I can tell you is that a very neutral substance is water, which means on a scale of about 1 to 14, water is a 7. It's exactly in the middle. It's not acidic and it's not basic. And when we create our litmus paper, it will change colors to help us know what the properties of the substances are. So to create my litmus paper, I just took my purple potato powder and about 10 milliliters of water and 2 scoops of the powder and mixed them together in a test tube. I then cut my filter paper into strips and dipped them into this solution and laid them to dry for about half an hour. Put that aside, and you can have an adult help you if you want to. Now that we've prepared it, what I'm going to do is I am going to use my dropper, my pipette, and I'm going to put a drop of substances on each of my test strips and note the color change. But between each experiment, I'm going to make sure I really rinse out my dropper well. Okay, so I'm going to start with my first one here, and I'll just start with water, and I only need to get just about a drop. And just drop it onto the colored portion of my paper. Okay. Now I'm going to set this aside. And for my next strip, just take a little bit of oil and put a drop or two on that. And then I'm going to kind of rinse it out pretty good. Okay. Then my next strip, milk. Put a drop there. And for my next strip. And you'll notice, sometimes you'll notice color changes immediately, sometimes you'll need to wait a few minutes. Okay. Ideally, you'll want to really wash it out well, but this is fine for now. Okay, my ginger ale. Okay. Next strip. Vinegar. Okay. Yeah, I'm probably contaminating my samples because I'm just washing it out in this, but the general idea is easy. And then, my mystery substance. And finally, my baking soda. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do is I am going to let these dry a little bit and watch the colors change. And I've already noticed some dramatic color changes. And in your manual, you'll learn a little bit about what those color changes mean. You're going to notice either more towards a blue color or more towards a red. And read up and see what that means and see what that means about the substances that you drink. Though something may say acid on it, it doesn't mean that it's dangerous. In fact, a lot of the things we take in every day have different acids that are important for our bodies. My mystery substance, by the way, was citric acid, which you can also find in your kit. And that one has already changed a very dramatic color. So make sure that you record your results and just try different things from around your house. Maybe soap or things that you didn't think about before. It opens up a whole new world to you when you try and understand what makes up this substance that I use to wash my hands, for example. pH is a way of testing substances to see if they are acidic or alkaline or basic. Alkaline and basic are basically the same thing. So we have different substances around us that we use every day. For example, you might drink orange juice in the morning and milk at night, but those have different pHs. Water is neutral. The number 7 on the pH scale represents water, which means it's not really acidic and it's not really basic. What we're going to do today is examine what happens when you combine basic solutions and acidic solutions and what reactions will occur. Today's experiment is going to get a little bit messy, so you might want to lay down some plastic in your work area and make sure you wash your hands after, because the powders we're going to work with could harm you if you leave them on your skin for too long. But just using them for this experiment is not dangerous. Okay, from your kit, you're going to need your test tubes, your test tube holder, this bag of purple potato powder, baking soda, and you'll also need a little funnel and your stirring stick, and also some citric acid. And from home, you're just going to need some oil. I'm using olive oil and some water. And then to make it a little bit easier for you to see what we're doing, instead of using the test tubes, I'm going to use this glass jar because it's a little bit bigger. But feel free to use the test tubes or one of the bigger test tubes as well. To start off, you need to take your test tube, in my case the jar, and you need to add to it first 5 to 7 milliliters of water. So I'm going to use my test tube to measure it out, and then you're going to add baking soda to that. And I've noticed that my test tubes are starting to get a little bit stained from all the experiments I've been doing, but that's fine. As long as you clean them out really well with soap and water, should not be a problem. Okay, I've got a little bit much. Take some out. I'll take right about 6 milliliters. All right. And then I'll pour this in at the bottom. Okay. Now I need to add a scoop of baking soda. And I'm just using my little yellow measuring scoop here. Put that in. And then I'm going to use the other side to mix it up. If you're using the test tubes, I just cap it and shake it. It makes it a lot easier to stir it up. But you just want to stir until it's dissolved. I'm kind of splashing here. If you want to use the litmus paper we created in the other experiment during the different steps to test and see the acidity or the alkalinity of our different substances, you can do that in the middle of the step. For example, you can use a strip of litmus paper and test this mixture of baking soda and water if you want to. Okay, now seal that up. I am going to add a scoop of the purple potato powder. I don't want to knock that over. I've already done this experiment. It's over there working on itself. Okay. And again, I'm going to mix it up. Now the purple potato powder isn't really it doesn't ever really want to mix very well, which is fine. Just do it the best you can. You'll notice immediately the color change. This is the secret of the litmus paper test that we talked about in our other experiment, how the purple potato powder will change color in response to the pH of the substance it's with. So you just mix that up about as well as you can. I think I'm going to add a little more water here just to get it to kind of dissolve a little bit better, but yeah, it smells like French fries. I do not recommend eating this, of course. Alright, mixed up as well as can be. Now I'm going to very carefully start adding oil to my mixture. And if you're not so confident in pouring, you can use one of your little funnels for the powders and the oil to add to your test tube. So I'm going to just pour very slowly until it's about to the top of your test tube. In this case, I want to very close to the top of this little container here. And now I'm going to leave it for about 10 to 20 seconds to kind of settle down so that the layers kind of even out. Okay, I'm going to move things to the side here to get ready for the finale. All right. Because all of the water is going to the bottom, we know that oil floats on water, so I want to just kind of let it all sit there. And it's okay if you have clumps of the potato powder on the side, that's fine, not a problem. Now you're going to take your citric acid, and again, take your little spoon, and you're just going to take one big scoop, and just drop it on the top. Get a bigger scoop than that. Don't mix it, just drop it onto the top, and watch what happens. The scoop, it'll immediately fall to the bottom, and I don't know if you can hear that, but it's bubbling like, it sounds like a soda pop. And immediately you have a reaction when that citric acid falls through the oil and hits the purple potato and baking soda mixture at the bottom. It immediately reacts and starts creating gases in this bottom layer. Those gases force their way up as bubbles through the oil and create a lot of pink foam on the top. And you have an effect that's something like a lava lamp, actually. And then, as those bubbles come to the top and they gather some of the potato powder at the top, they fall to the bottom and create a cycle, and it looks like it's boiling, but it's actually not. What you have is an acidic and basic reaction. And it actually keeps going for a while. This one I did about half an hour ago. It slowed down a lot, but there's still bubbles going up and down, and the levels have dispersed. You've got the purple potato mixture on the bottom and then a pink layer and then the oil. They'll separate out eventually. But it's just really fun to watch. I wish I had a lot more of this powder, make a very big one. But this is pretty cool to watch. Make sure you don't cap it because you don't want to trap the gases inside. That can always be dangerous, you know. But make sure you wash your hands afterwards and just enjoy. Anyway, I'll see you next time.